Today, we're here in downtown Flagstaff with Coconino County Supervisor Art Babbott, who is a candidate for the Arizona House of Representatives here in Legislative District 6. Welcome to 10 with Palm, a series created to dialogue for 10 minutes with community leaders and those of influence throughout Arizona. My name is Dan Palm, and today we're speaking with Art Babbott, a small business owner, former member of the Flagstaff City Council, and Coconino County Supervisor since 2012. This November, he's on the ballot again, this time as a candidate for the Arizona House of Representatives in Legislative District 6. So today we're here at Late for the Train in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I'm here with Art Babbott, Coconino County Supervisor. It's great to have you here today. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
It's awesome to be here, and I really, as we were chatting just before, it's so nice to have people who are engaged in getting information out on the local level with the news kind of being less prevalent in our local communities. Really appreciate your energy and effort to bringing connections in our communities.
Thanks so much. So you've been here in Flagstaff for quite a number of years. You're a small business owner. You're a former member of the Flagstaff City Council, and now a Coconino County Supervisor since 2012. Maybe you could share a little bit more about your story and what Northern Arizona has meant to you during this time.
Yeah, well, I have had the privilege, as so many of us do, of calling Northern Arizona home. And I am a dad, I am a husband, I'm a father, a small business owner, and someone who's been in local and elected office for 15 years here in this part of the world. And I have been so fortunate to be able to not only be the recipient of so much incredible opportunity, but hopefully play a small part in giving back to that community. My small business world that I've been engaged with has been at the Orpheum Theater. I was a partner with three folks there who really brought and revived and revitalized that incredible asset for the city of Flagstaff. I have run the Flagstaff Community Markets for 20 years, which is a farm-to-market endeavor that includes many of small growers, independent growers from Verde Valley up on the rim to Coconino County, small ranches, and so have really had the good fortune of bringing some capacity, I think. My wife is a hospice nurse in town here, which has really important meaning for us. I have an 11-year-old daughter who is in the local school system here. I have an older son who's living in Montana, so I am pretty fortunate to call this place home, and it's given me a lot.
You're running for the Arizona House of Representatives here in Legislative District 6. And I'm sure that's quite a process that you've undertaken here to represent this, potentially represent this district. I wonder if you could talk about, one of the things you mentioned, and I've heard you say before, is about how our political system seems to be so dysfunctional. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that. What does that mean? Maybe give some examples of what you mean by that.
Yeah, so, our democracy and our constitutional republic is not well. In case you haven't gotten the memo, we have really, we are off the mark in terms of doing what citizens and voters ask us to do. We are sent to do a job. We are sent to go solve problems, to create opportunities. And yet, way too often, we confuse, partisan-based, hostage-taking and grenade lobbing for problem solving. The people who pay our salaries, which is you, expect us to work on their problems, and we have really missed the mark. I'm running for the Arizona legislature as an independent, not because it is easier to do so. It is not. It's profoundly more difficult. But what we are doing is not working, and it is not producing outputs and outcomes that people want. And one observation I have is that we have an economy, a society that is built on the marketplace of good ideas. It's built on competition. And yet you come and move to our electoral system, and it's like the less competition, the better. There's not a lot that the establishment two parties agree on. One of the things that they very strongly fundamentally agree on at that kind of high up establishment level is that creating and maintaining an electoral system that is uncompetitive serves their interests. And I don't think that serves our citizens' interests. And so when you talk about what can we do, what are the reforms that we can implement to build a democracy and a constitutional republic that has some really important values, it should be competitive. We shouldn't be engaged in a situation where we're voting for the lesser of two evils. How many of us have walked through a ballot and said, oh, geez, I can't vote for that person even though they speak to me, because if I do that, then X, Y, and Z happens with someone else. That is not a good way to run a constitutional republic and democracy. And so there are great citizen-engendered movements around this country really gaining steam. Ranked choice voting is one that is really, really gaining traction. It understands that in order to build a vibrant democratic system, you have to have competition. You can't disengender people wanting to play in our political process. You need to understand that in order to build productive conversations and relationships, you need to speak to broader sections of the electorate, not small, very extreme, partisan, low turnout primary voters. You need to speak to large ones. So ranked choice voting is a great way to solve many of the challenges that we're facing. We want more people running. We want more marketplace of ideas in our democracy. And so, it's kind of a good news, bad news story. What we are doing is the plane has crashed into the mountain on terms of functional democracy. That's the bad news. The good news is there is a strong set of impetus and energy around reforming, transforming, and revitalizing our electoral system so people can feel good about it and people can feel like they're part of a coalition, they're part of a community conversation, and not in this, I got to go to my corner, lob a grenade into the middle of a room and think we're doing the people's work. We're not.
Tell me about that, running as an independent. I know there's certain access to information or other supports that you don't necessarily have that the two-party system more caters to. What has been your experience thus far as running as an independent?
So as an independent, there's lots and lots of opportunities being an independent. I have created a lane in my political career that has been focused on problem solving, that is focused on bringing conversations together to hopefully produce meaningful outcomes. That is not the easiest way to stake out your political kind of lane as an independent. The hill for an independent is steeper, and it is steeper not by accident. It is steeper by intention. For example, for me to get on the ballot, and I do go right to the general election, I needed about 4 times the signatures, 3.5 times the signatures that a Democrat or a Republican needed to get on that ballot. State statute is littered with statutes and rules that disincentivize anyone other than party politicians from running. That's just the fact. Parties can bring dark money to their candidates that come from parties. I don't take any corporate PAC money. I don't take any party money because I feel that's important, that who I answer to is not an outside entity. It's a voter or it's someone who actually lives in this district. And so that's been a really important piece for me personally. Every one of us has issues that are important, that are shared values, that we can agree on.
Thank you, Supervisor Babbott, for taking a few moments to speak with us today. If you've not yet joined the conversation on the 10 with Palm Facebook page, I encourage you to do so and suggest others in Arizona that I might speak with in future episodes. My name is Dan Palm. Stay tuned for more interviews with community leaders and those of influence throughout Arizona.